Nathan.
While I look for my notes on where we're going in today's TV guideposts, scrolling and scrolling, we return to Mapleton, New York for HBO. Speaking of HBO, The Leftovers, starring a bunch of people, featuring sad things. Today, discussing episodes 5, called Gladys, and 6, called Guest. We explore and maybe explain before, screw it, on to the show. Reed, we are...
That was a... Man, how funny would it have been in like the old guidepost days if you were flipping through it and everything, and then suddenly it was just like, screw it.
Screw it. Just
forget it.
Just push play. Jeez, Reed. This... Dude. Oh my God, Gladys. What?
Why do we have to start with this conversation?
I skipped it.
You didn't watch it?
No. I skipped the scene.
Oh, the scene's awful. So
it's terrible.
We have, for 3 years, we have been covering horror films with some pretty graphic and violent stuff in it. I think the death of Guilty Remnant member Gladys is the most graphic and horrific thing I think we've ever covered on the show. It is awful. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, it's brutal. And I remember the first time I watched that show.
It's awful. It's terrible. It's brutal.
It's malicious.
It's bloody.
It's malevolent.
It's nasty.
It's gross.
That ain't right.
It's nauseating. That ain't right. I remember when I watched through the show the first time, and that moment happened, and I can't remember what I texted you because it was years ago, but I remember I texted you something. I was like, oh my God, like what? Oh, what did I? Oh,
I remember that. Come on now.
I know your memory. You don't remember no text I sent you.
So why do you think I had to reiterate the call to action so many times so I'd remember what we're asking them?
So I can remember having a visceral reaction to that. And that was the moment that you had identified for me that critics of the show, or the show's first season, pointed to, that it was very dour in tone, that it was really heavy. And moments like the death of Gladys are a lot of what they pointed to, of like, man, this is just so morose and
awful.
It's awful.
Terrible.
It's awful. Yeah. So for listeners who haven't watched that show, a member of the Guilty Remnant is kidnapped, tied to a tree, and stoned to death. And they linger on the moment far longer than you would expect them to.
Yeah.
It's rough. Yeah. It's really rough.
Yes. And I would not blame anyone for skipping it.
Indeed.
So this episode, Reed, in real life, do you think you would, I loved, random pivot here. I loved Bill's question last week, and it really, I love how it like threw us. Do you remember the justice question, the Carmichael? And both of us were like,
totally not prepared. I'm like, he's just asked us a really profound question.
I
don't have this queued up.
You want to go? Not me.
Nathan, what you got? I don't know, Reed. What do you think?
Oh, nothing.
I'm waiting for you.
That's not in the script. Unplugging. I'm
gonna need to watch the movie again and come back and let you know.
Yeah. So, in the spirit of Bill here, I'm going to ask you a question, and that's: do you think you would be friends or appreciate or like Matt Jameson if he was a real person?
That's a really good question. I think I would like him. It is, yeah. I think I would like him. I don't know how close of friends we could be, because he's a lot. He's a lot.
That's true.
I like him. I like the character. I like him for all of his complexity. He's frustrating at times. Poor guy just does not know when to quit, as you'll see in another episode shortly. But it just I like him a lot. I don't know if we'd be somebody that we'd hang out a lot. I don't know that would happen.
Well, this is, and it's interesting. I'm kind of stumbling into this, even having asked the question. I think this.
I would appreciate more heads up next time if you're going to just throw something at me. No, Okay. Are there any more surprises waiting for me? No, that's it. That was your
I
surprises.
wouldn't be surprised if I told you.
Fair point. Sorry.
Really wish I had another one prepped. To me, this is kind of the power of storytelling. I was going to say art, but I think
Mm,
more specifically storytelling is that you are able to wrestle because we are observing this story play out. You're able to wrestle with complexities of characters that you wouldn't really be privy to in the real world. Like
sure,
in
of
the
course.
real,
Yeah.
if you just know a Matt Jameson type exists in the world, probably what you're seeing is his most volatile version, right? You're seeing
Ah, sure. Yeah.
extremes that at least I know for myself, I would probably judge kind of harshly.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's delivery by Eccleston, yes. It's writing by the writing team, and it's all of this. It's performance. I love when Kevin and Matt are in the car, or I can't remember if they're in the car or Matt is a suspect in Gladys's death,
Yes.
and Matt starts asking probing questions about wanting to see the body,
Mm,
and
mm,
Kevin just says, "You realize you're a suspect, right?" And without missing a
yeah.
beat, Chris Eccleston says, "Well, of course, I'd like to pray for her." And it's just
Yeah.
this amazing moment of full clarity. I mean, there's things you can accuse Matt Jameson of. Lack of self-awareness is not one of them. He fully
Yeah.
lives
Mm-hmm.
into whatever he is. It reminds me a lot. I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever read these of the Buechner series, Leo Beb. Um,
Yes. Many years ago, but yes.
in that this is a sequence of books by Frederick Buechner, novels, and featured a character named Leo Beb, who is this uh, pastor who runs a diploma mill, so kind of shady, who also has a habit of exposing himself in public, but who also speaks in the most spiritual, profound way ever. And it's
Mm,
it's the point is complex human being.
yeah, of
And, and
course.
and Matt reminds me of that. What are some observations for you from this episode 5? That's what we're on.
So yeah, so I'll be upfront that I did not
Do
write
it.
down very much about this episode. I have literally two moments that I want to point to. It's a good episode, although heavy at the onset. But I didn't write down very many notable moments. One notable moment is the story that Matt tells about Thomas and Jesus. It actually comes from the Gospel of Thomas, which is an apocryphal work. It's not found in the Bible. And then the other moment that I just am just galvanized by, I did remember it. I had mentioned, can't remember if it was last week or the week prior, that I don't have a strong memory for this season. There's only a few moments that stood out to me in a really indelible way. And one of the moments is Matt trying to eulogize Gladys in front
Oh,
of
it's so
the
good.
guilty remnant and Lori coming out and
Mm-hmm.
blowing the whistle right in his face. I wrote some specific things down. I'll read what I wrote, but it
Oh,
just
so did you write things or did you not write things, Reed?
no. I wrote this down. Lori blowing the whistle in Matt's face is a powerful moment. One of my favorites from the whole season. The look on Matt's face, as we mentioned, stuffed with complexity. He genuinely feels like he's trying to do something that in his mind is a good thing. But of course, at the same time, he is creating a sort of violation, as it were. And Lori's reaction is such a great display of the culmination of her individual arc and how she's trying for all of the things that this guilty remnant is shady for and is questionable about. She's bought in, like
Yeah.
she's fully and completely bought into it. And so him being there eulogizing Gladys is a complete violation of so much of what they're trying to achieve or talking about. And so her blowing the whistle in his face is a really affecting moment. It is a very, very powerful moment. The episode as a whole is a bit utilitarian, as I've used before, but that moment is just powerful, and I love it a lot. That's really the extent of my notes on episode Gladys. So I'll
I,
yield
I
the
thought
floor
you
to
were
you.
going to say your favorite Matt quote of the episode is "I say fuck too."
Wow.
I really do
Well,
love that moment. But I just love he's just trying to fit in. He's like, let you know, Kevin, I'm good. We're good. You're good. You can drop the F bomb if you need to.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I know you're going to bleep that, so I wasn't.
No, 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 no.
Talking
I
about
know. I had a momentary brain fart though because I thought that was in the second episode. I thought that was in the next episode we're doing. I didn't know that that was in Gladys. I didn't remember it from Gladys. I remembered it from.
it's when they go to.
Oh, because he's trying to get in touch with Kalani. That's
Yeah.
right. He's trying to get in touch with Kalani, and he just goes off
Yeah.
on his phone. And then, and then Matt says it. Yeah. Yeah, that is right.
I
No,
do
I was
love.
jarred for a second.
Yeah, it happens. You know, I'm a, like Matt Jameson. I'm a lot to handle sometimes.
Would I be friends with him? Clearly, I would.
Jury's out. I do love that there's a small scene late in this episode where we finally see the dam burst for Kevin emotionally, where he and Jill connect in a real touching way.
Right.
Yeah, I really love that. But so that's episode 5. Gladys is intense. I don't know about you, but and next week's 7 and 8, like 6, 7, 8. This is a good run.
Yeah, it is.
Are you just agreeing with me because I said it, or believe it?
I'm fonder of 6 and 8 than I am of 7, but yes, 6, 7, 8 is a really great run.
Just the level of you just dig that knife, Lackey.
Would you be friends with Matt Jameson?
Listeners, you've listened to Reed for 3 years. Would you be friends with Reed Lackey? No.
Don't answer that. Send us your emails. Send us the rest. Don't vote on answer that question.
No call to action.
Quick poll.
Come back, Beetlejuice. So episode 6, guest. This is a hell of an episode.
I love this episode so much. I mean, I'm pretty fond of everything in this season surrounding Nora as a character. The only character that really gives Matt Jameson a run for his money in terms of my favorite character is Nora. This is a fantastic episode. Guest is an amazing piece of storytelling. It's wonderful. It's really excellent. It's not quite to the level of episode 3 for me,
sure, but
close. It's really strong.
But in terms of telling, I understand what you're saying, but it has resonance as this sort of bottle episode. Nora works for the DSD, the Department of Sudden Departure. I think that's
Department of Sudden Departure.
Yeah. You like it? I was like real committed, and then not at all.
She works for the DSD, which is the.
Who knows? Forgot that one. But she's at this conference, this corporate conference, and it just gives you this sort of day in the life type of thing, and where just nothing is going right, which is effectively the show writ large. But I love how it plays with this thematic idea when she goes to the courthouse and formally gets her divorce, and they say, "Do you want to change your name too?" And she, "No, I want to be Nora Durst." And I was like, man, that's great. A line right there, because it's just screaming all these attachment issues and identity issues, and the episode's called Guest, meaning there's no identifier there. And I really loved a lot of what happens in this episode. Any specific things you wrote down that you want to talk about?
So in contrast to last episode, I wrote down at least 5 or 6 little notes here. So there's so much characterization and metaphorical exploration in the simple choice Nora makes to pay people to shoot her.
Yeah.
Like like she wears a bulletproof vest, and she's trusting that their aim will at least, like, they could easily hit her head with the distance that she's from them and everything, like, but she pays people to shoot her with a legit gun, not like a child's BB gun or something. She pays people to shoot her while she wears a bulletproof vest, and it's really stunning, just the levels of characterization that
she is just blowing through those DSD funds, by the way.
No kidding, man.
You get another $1,000.
you like, I need $3,000. Okay, no problem.
Sure.
Well,
and can I comment on that?
Yeah.
If you're moving away from it, one thing I love about that, and this is a thematic note, but it wouldn't be one I would explode out for the season, is her paying these folks to shoot her is signaling, to me at least, that everyone in this world is just desperate to feel something. And actually, I'll even caveat that. What's fascinating is those not GR, are desperate to feel something. Those GR
Yes.
are content to feel nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a real fascinating sort of tension and juxtaposition there.
No, absolutely. I feel like so that the main conceit of this episode is that Nora Durst is attending with her association with the DSD, which is, I don't know if you remember, Nathan, is the Department of Sun
I know,
Department.
I remember something, Reed. Knuckle sandwich.
But she is attending this conference that presumably is annual, or yeah,
Yeah,
it would have to be
it is.
annual. Um,
I remember that much.
and when she when she goes, when she first arrives, somebody has already claimed her badge, and so they have to give her a guest badge, which is where the title of the episode comes from. That entire plot line is amazing. It's a great bit of creative storytelling because somebody's taken her badge. She's got to assume the role of guest, and then as she's navigating through this, she's insistent that she is Nora Durst when the hotel, somebody, this person who she believes is impersonating her, suddenly the hotel says like, okay, Nora Durst, you smashed hotel property, so you're off the premises and everything. And she's like, no, somebody's impersonating me, somebody's pretending to be me, I'm supposed to be on a panel. And I just love the entire development of plot line. This show has already played with unsolved mysteries and random disappearances like her badge, so it's played with all of these different
Yeah.
ways that don't always get resolved in a really concrete way. So when, after all of this back and forth, she swears somebody's impersonating her, and she's like, the person's probably on my panel right now. And the hotel proprietor or head of security or whatever is like, okay, if we go there and nobody is on your panel impersonating you, then you leave these premises and we never see you again. And I was fully convinced first time through. I remembered it from this time around, but I was fully convinced the first time through. I was like, they're going to go and there ain't going to be nobody there. And she's going to be in this big existential crisis, not really knowing what to do with herself. So when she goes there and there is straight up somebody
Alex
impersonating, yes, impersonating Nora Durst. And then the hotel security guy's like, like, I guess we got to do something about this. And it's just really galvanizing. I love that moment. I love everything about that plot
to your
line.
point about the creativity inherent there, that this episode does a ton of heavy lifting for this show. Because
Yes.
not just is it a brilliant kind of creative choice, this kind of identity thing, it's also a great, as you're illustrating, character choice. What it plunges Nora, who relies solely on her identifiers for meaning.
Yes.
It also does a ton of world building for the show.
It does.
Because you
Yes.
remove her identifiers, people are speaking into her, and we're learning about the world by
Yes.
her sort of absence of person in it.
Yes.
So it's just
great.
really, really a great sort of position. And I'll throw this out. Maybe you disagree with me. I don't know. As much as I dislike the Wayne aspects of this season, I love his usage in this one.
Can
What?
I read you my exact note?
Please.
As much as I despise the Holy Wayne plotline, that scene with Nora is pretty dang powerful. It's wonderful. Yeah,
well, because
and that's exactly what
also, you know, Lindelof loves his sort of Rashomon type of storytelling.
Yes,
but you also not just does it energize you perhaps, or energize you for the first time to the Wayne storyline, it also gives you a whole new view on the character. Like, oh,
right,
he is a charlatan and yet something else. That's pretty fascinating.
Absolutely.
Reed, would
but yeah,
you
that was
be
almost
friends with Wayne?
It depends on whether or not he hugged me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of his thing.
The last note that I have, literally the last note, is just, question 121. In your opinion, do you believe that the departed are in a better place? And it's a powerful question that I love the answer that the last person we see in the episode, not just the answer that they give, which is just simply no, but the breakdown that character has as they're giving it is really affecting. And Nora's slow, like sort of almost cautious putting the pen to paper to actually check that the person said no. It's really affecting. This is a fantastic episode. This one and episode 3 are what I would hang my hat on. Like, if you thought the first 2 episodes were dull, then just hang on for 3, because 3 is great.
Right.
If you thought Gladys was a bridge too far, hang on for Guest, because Guest will just bring you right back into the show. Like it really is an outstanding episode. It's an outstanding piece of storytelling. It's great. It's really outstanding. I love it.
Is it outstanding or is it outstanding?
You know, it really stands out to me. That's the thing. So
that has once more been TV Guideposts, where this week we discussed whether we would be Facebook friends with Matt Jameson or just follow him or just join the Matt Jameson fan page. In episodes 5 and 6, Gladys and Guest, 2 episodes that both in title start with the letter G. This TV Guidepost is brought to you by the letter G. Woo-wee, re. Hey, so we did our call to action. We did our business time. We unpacked some TV Guideposts. We are going to cut to commercial.